Students, welcome back to Asian History. It's Vamosi coming back at you again. And today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, ancient Mesopotamia, where civilization for humans really began, the consequences of people settling down and integrating into bigger communities, and really what consequences that has on the entirety of human history as a whole, and why it's so influential for explaining why we are the way we are today. And so the lesson that we're going to be working out of today is called Ancient Mesopotamia Overview. And the directions say, here are our plans for today. Highlighted text indicates that you need to write and submit information to this assignment. Ensure that you've completed all requirements in the what to submit section near the bottom. And then participation will be rewarded for participating in class discussion. Maybe if we get to this on one of our meeting days, we can use this as participation. Otherwise, I'll give you a pretty good idea of all these topics, and I'll be giving commentary on all of the different steps within this lesson. So step one is to analyze and discuss this image. And ancient Mesopotamia, the word Mesopotamia actually means the land between two rivers. And it's taking place in what is in modern day Iraq, right? So if you think about that central location within the world, kind of above where we see Africa, and then to the right toward Asia. And that's where we really get the meeting, where we have modern day Iraq, and then where ancient Mesopotamia would have been. And within this image, we see really the accessibility that people would have to water, not just for drinking purposes, but also for irrigating crops, being able to grow crops and food in a central location, right? So this is, right, they call it land between two rivers, because that's really the main source of why somebody would want to be there. In other words, we can consider this type of location or these terrain surroundings to be significant pull factors. The terrain itself is super hospitable, between being on level land, not being able to be really flooded by these water sources, but really being in the perfect location to where these people had access to them without running the risk of flooding their crops, and protecting them from a lot of the wind erosion that came from the valleys in which they were situated. So they really had it going on in terms of the terrain and why they were situated where they were. So Mesopotamia, land between two rivers, perfect for really settling down. Step two is I want you to watch this video below and then submit 3 factors or reasons why Mesopotamia was able to thrive as our first civilization. So while you're watching this, look out for those 3 factors or reasons. We'll watch it together and I'll give you some commentary.
The story of writing, astronomy, and law. The story of civilization itself begins in one place. Not Egypt, not Greece, not Rome, but Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia is an exceedingly fertile plain situated between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. For 5 millennia,
they'll call it the Fertile Crescent, or the Fertile Crescent, this arch right here.
This small strip of land situated in what is today Iraq, Kuwait, and Syria fostered innovations that would change the world forever. Inhabited for nearly 12,000 years, Mesopotamia's stable climate, rich soil, and steady supply of fresh water made it ideal for agriculture to develop and thrive.
Think about those factors as being important to the rest of the civilization.
About 6,000 years ago, seemingly overnight, some of these agricultural settlements blossomed.
We have that city down here, and that's really one of the most successful city-states along these 2 rivers, and that's what's in the background. So the archaeologists digging up these ancient city-states, this is one of them, or one of the most successful ones, as really like one of the first metropolitan areas where people congregated, and that's this one down here.
Into some of the world's first cities. In the period between 4000 and 3100 BC, Mesopotamia was dotted with a constellation of competing city-states. At one point, they were unified under the Akkadian Empire and then broke apart, forming the empires of Assyria and Babylon. Despite near constant warfare, innovation and development thrived in ancient Mesopotamia. They built on a monumental scale, from palaces to ziggurats. Mammoth temples served as ritual locations to commune with the gods. They also
when you have civilizations coming together, you're going to get the cultural stuff and the political stuff. These leaders, these empires, as well as the religious systems, as well as this writing system that they
developed advanced mathematics, including a base 60 system that created a 60-second minute, a 60-minute hour, and a 360-degree circular angle. The Babylonians used their sophisticated system of mathematics to map and study the sky. They divided one Earth year into 12 periods. Each was named after the most prominent constellations in the heavens, a tradition later adopted by the Greeks to create the zodiac. They also divided the week into 7 days, naming each after their 7 gods embodied by the 7 observable planets in the sky. But perhaps the most impactful innovation to come out of Mesopotamia is literacy. What began as simple pictures scrawled onto wet clay to keep track of goods and wealth developed into a sophisticated writing system by the year 3200 BC.
And these things are so well preserved, these cuneiform or these clay pieces, that historians and archaeologists are really able to look at these things and decipher entire languages, still based off of them really like pushing and imprinting within these pieces of clay. So much so that they were able to transcribe music notation from these as well too. And you have people today, modern people today, who are able to transcribe the music that was put in these systems of writing and perform it. Now that's crazy and awesome.
This writing system would come to be called cuneiform in modern times and proved so flexible that, over the span of 3,000 years, it would be adapted for over a dozen different major languages and countless uses, including recording the law of the Babylonian king Hammurabi, which formed the basis of a standardized justice system.
Think about how sets of laws would allow a civilization to thrive. I think that's a huge factor.
But Mesopotamia's success became its undoing. Babylon, in particular, proved too rich a state to resist outside envy. In 539 BC, the Persian king Cyrus conquered Babylon and sealed his control over the entirety of Mesopotamia. For centuries, this area became a territory of foreign empires. Eventually, Mesopotamia would fade, like its kings, into the mist of history, and its cities would sink beneath the sands of Iraq. But its ideas would prevail in literacy, law, math, astronomy, and the gift of civilization itself.
Okay. So make sure you submit 3 factors or reasons why Mesopotamia was able to thrive as our first civilization from that video. And then finally, for step 3, I want you to read through a list of inventions that came from Mesopotamia. I want you to select 3 inventions from the list and argue which ones have had the most lasting impact on our modern society. Your response must identify 3 inventions from the list, have an argument of importance for each invention, and then use facts and reasons to support your argument. So there's no 3 definitive answers. You are selecting 3 based on what you think are the most important to our modern day society. So you're making an argument using facts and reasons to back it up, and that's what you're going to be submitting to me today. What you're ultimately submitting is your 3 factors or reasons from step 2, and then your 3 inventions and your arguments for them in step 3. And I hope this video helped you all out, please reach out to me if you need any additional assistance with anything dealing with this topic. Have a wonderful day.